Henry Moore is perhaps the most celebrated sculptor of the 20th century, and his monumental semi-abstract sculptures had a profound effect on the course of British art. Shying away from the classical ideal which was all-pervasive in Western art, Moore turned to so-called primitive art for inspiration, drawing heavily on imagery from African and Oceanic cultures which idealized the female maternal figure. During the 1930s, he was very much influenced by the works of French artists Pablo Picasso and Georges Braque, causing his works to take on a much more abstract and surreal nature. As with every artist of his generation, the outbreak of the Second World War had a profound effect on his work. Departing from his primary focus on the mother and child, Moore created a series of drawings of huddled figures in underground shelters and miners toiling at the coal face. Created during his work as a war artist, these drawings are filled with a pathos and pain which he later expressed in Warrior with Shield. In 1951, Moore travelled to Greece, and experiencing the classical sculpture in the land of its creation affected him deeply. He put aside his earlier prejudices and began to draw classical elements into his work, such as draped figures and the wounded warrior. Warrior with Shield clearly resonates with the classical past, and it was the first single male sculptural figure Moore had created since his student days. He frequently collected rocks, pebbles and bones, which he studied and sketched to understand nature's principles of form and rhythm. He later recounted that the idea for the warrior came to me at the end of 1952 or very early 1953. It was evolved from a pebble I found on the seashore in the summer of 1952, and which reminded me of the stump of a leg amputated at the hip. First I added the body, leg and one arm, and it became a wounded warrior. But at first the figure was reclining. A day or two later I added a shield and altered its position and arrangement into a seated figure, and so it changed from an inactive pose into a figure which, though wounded, is still defiant. The head has a blunted and bull-like power, but also a sort of dumb animal acceptance and forbearance of pain. The figure may be emotionally connected with one's feelings and thoughts about England during the crucial and early part of the last war. Encapsulating the pain of war, Warrior with Shield clearly resonated with Professor Douglas Grant, who purchased the maquette in 1954 at an exhibition in the Leicester Galleries, London. Grant had served in the 41 Royal Marine Commando during the war. A full-size version of this sculpture was cast in 1972, which can now be found in the Basilica of Santa Croce in Florence.